Yes, Mataji, go ahead.
Yes. Jai Mataji, I'll just say the Prabhupada's Pranam Mantra. Namam Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine, Namaste Saraswate Deve, Gauravani Pracharine, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Kamine, Shri Nrsimha Dev Bhagwan ki Jai, Shri Prahlad Maharaj ki Jai. So here goes the Nrsimha Kavach. Nrsimha Kavacham Vakshe, Prahladenoditam Pura, Sarvarakshakaram Punyam, Sarvopatravanasanam, Sarvasampatkaram Chaiva, Swargamoksha-pradayakam, Dhyatva Narsimham Devesham, Hemasimhasanastitam, Vivrittasya Makrinayam, Sharad Indu Samaprabham, Lakshmyalingitavamangam, Vibhutibhir Upashritam, Chaturbhujam Komalangam, Swarnakundalashobhitam, Sarojashobhitoraskam, Ratnakeyuramudritam, काञ्चनसङ्काशं पीतनिर्मलवाससं इन्द्रादिसुरमौलिष्ठः स्फुरन्माणिक्यदीप्तिभिः विराजितपदद्वन्द्वं शङ्खचक्रादिहेतिभिः गरुत्मता च विनयात् स्तूयमानं मुदन्वितं स्वहृत्कमलसंवासं कृत्वा तु कवचं पठेत् नरसिंहो मे शिरः पातु लोकरक्षार्थसम्भवः सर्वगोपीस्तम्भवासः फलं मे रक्षतु ध्वनिम् नरसिंहो मे दृशौ पातु सोमसूर्याग्निलोचनः स्मृतं मे पातु नरहरि मुनिवार्यस्तुतिप्रियः नासं मे सिंहनाशस्तु मुखं लक्ष्मीमुखप्रियः सर्वविद्याधिपः पातु नरसिंहो रसनं मम वक्त्रं पात्व इन्दुवदनं सदा प्रह्लादवन्दितः नरसिंहः पातु मे कण्ठं स्कन्दौ भूभृत् अनन्तकृत् दिव्यास्त्रशोभितभुज नरसिंहः पातु मे भुजौ करौ मे देववरदो नरसिंहः पातु सर्वतः हृदयं योगिसाध्यश्च निवासं पातु मे हरिः मद्यं पातु हिरण्याक्ष वक्षकुक्षिविदारणः नाभिं मे पातु नरहरि स्वनाभि ब्रह्म संस्तुतः ब्रह्माण्डकोटयः यस्यासौ पातु मे कटिं गुह्यं मे पातु गुह्यानां मन्त्राणां गुह्यरूपदृक् उरुमनोभवः पातु जानुनी नररूपदृक् जङ्घे पातु धरभर हर्ता योऽसौ नरकेशरी सुरराज्यप्रदः पातु पादौ मे नरहरीश्वरः सहस्रशीर्षः पुरुषः पातु मे सर्वशस्तनुं मनोग्रहपूर्वतः पातु महाविरागरजोऽग्नितः महाविष्णुर्दक्षिणे तु महाज्वलस्तु नैर्तः पश्चिमे पातु सर्वेषु दिशि मे सर्वतोमुखः नरसिंह पातु वायाव्यां सौम्यं भूषणविग्रहः ईशान्यां पटु भद्रो मे सर्वमङ्गलदायकः संसारभयतः पातु मृत्योर्मृत्युर्नरकेशरी इदं नरसिंहकवचं प्रह्लादमुखमण्डितं भक्तिमान् यः पाठे नित्यं सर्वपापैः प्रमुच्यते पुत्रवान् धनवान् लोके दीर्घ आयुरुपार्जयते यं यं कामयते कामं तं तं प्राप्नोति असंशयम् सर्वत्र जयमाप्नोति सर्वत्र विजयी भवेत् भूमि अंतरिक्ष दिव्यानां ग्रहाणां विनिवारणम् वृश्चिकोरगसम्भूत विशापहरणं परं ब्रह्म राक्षसयक्षाणां दुरुत्सारणकारणं भुजे वा तलपात्रे वा कवचं लिखितं शुभं करमूले धृतं येन सिद्ध्येये कर्म सिद्धयः देवासुरमनुष्येषु स्वं स्वम् एव जयं लभेत् एकसन्ध्यं त्रिसन्ध्यं वा यः पठेन् नियतो नरः सर्वमङ्गलमाङ्गल्यं भुक्तिं मुक्तिं च विन्दति त्वत्रिंशतिसहस्राणि पठेत् शुद्ध आत्मनां नृणाम् कवचस्यास्य मन्त्रस्य मन्त्रसिद्धि प्रजायते अनेन मन्त्रराजेन कृत्वा भस्माभिमन्त्रणाम् तिलकं विंशयेद्यस्तु तस्य ग्रहभयं भरेत् त्रिवारं जपमानस्तु दत्तं दत्तं वार्याभिमन्त्रय च प्रसयेद्यो नरमन्त्रं नरसिंहध्यानमाचरेत् तस्य रोगः प्रणश्यन्ति ये च स्युः कुक्षिसम्भवः गर्जन्तं गार्जयन्तं निजभुजपटलं स्फोटयन्तं हठन्तं रूपयन्तं तापयन्तं दिवि भुजितितिचं क्षेपयन्तं क्षिपन्तं क्रन्दन्तं रोषयन्तं दिशि दिशि सततं संहरन्तं भरन्तं वीक्षन्तं पूर्यन्तं करनिकरसतैर्दिव्यसिंहं नमामि गर्जन्तं गार्जयन्तं निजभुजपटलं स्फोटयन्तं हठन्तं रूपयन्तं तापयन्तं दिवि भुजिदितिजं क्षेपयन्तं क्षिपन्तं क्रन्दन्तं रोषयन्तं दिशि दिशि सततं स्वं हरन्तं भरन्तं वीक्षन्तं पूर्णयन्तं करनिकरसतैर्दिव्यसिंहं नमामि गर्जन्तं गार्जयन्तं निजभुजपतलं स्फोटयन्तं हठन्तं रूपयन्तं तापयन्तं दिवि भुजिदितिजं क्षेपयन्तं क्षिपन्तं क्रन्दन्तं रोषयन्तं दिशि दिशि सततं संहरन्तं भरन्तं वीक्षन्तं पूर्णयन्तं करनिकरसतैर्दिव्यसिंहं नमामि हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे श्री नृसिंहदेव भगवान की जय श्री प्रहलाद महाराज की जय श्री प्रभुपाद की जय हरे कृष्णा थैंक यू माताजी हरे कृष्णा
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji.
थैंक यू प्रभु
Hare Krishna. So, welcome to all to today's session of Ramadan 2021. So, thanks to everyone for joining. And today we are continuing the illustrious Isopanishad. So, we all had a wonderful Shravanam yesterday of the first 6 chapters of the Isopanishad from Vamsidhari Prabhu, including the how the Vedas, how the Isopanishad is considered as nearest, is explaining to us the easiest and the nearest way of approach and its delineation from the Vedas, and with good examples. So today we are going to continue the journey. The next 6 chapters, chapters number 7 to 12. So we are going to listen from His Grace Santa Gopeshwar Prabhu and his wife, Her Grace Purna Premamayi Devidasi Mataji. Purna Premamayi Gopi Devidasi Mataji. So Santa Gopeshwar Prabhu and Purna Mataji, as we call them affectionately. So they are disciples of His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj. And Santa Gopeshwar Prabhu is involved in technical support in many of our programs, and he anchored the quiz, the Kahoot quiz. He was the one who actually introduced in a big way the Kahoot quiz in our Ramadan program, and he also anchored it, and he was also taking care of the blog along with many other Sevadaris. And Prabhu has initiated what is called as a Vedic Express. So it is an online channel which is capturing the scriptural thoughts in a nutshell. Purna Premamai Gopi Devidasi Mataji is actively assisting Santa Gopeshwar Prabhu, is also involved in sevas in Balutsav classes and sevas in yatras relevant to cooking, flower arrangements, and many other sevas at the gardens, Discovery Garden level. So let us welcome His Grace Santa Gopeshwar Prabhu and Her Grace Purna Premamai Gopi Devi Dasi Mataji with a Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji. I think you have been made the co-host.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji. Yes, Mataji.
So
you can go ahead and then share your representation. So you would like to have the bhajan in the middle or in the end,
yes,
Mataji?
Prabhuji. In the middle, Prabhuji.
In the middle. So let us know, Mataji, so when you would like to have.
Yeah, in half an hour, my session will be done, Prabhuji. After that.
Okay, Mataji, up to you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji, for your encouraging words. Thank you, Matajis and Prabhujis, for giving me this opportunity to speak on Shri Isopanishad. So I will start. I will be covering today's 7 and 8 verse, and rest 4 will be covered by my Prabhuji. So just a minute. So yes, Isopanishad, as we all know, is a part of Yajurveda. There are two recitations from of Isopanishad. One is Shukla Yajurveda. Sorry, two recitation of Yajurveda. One is two parts actually. One is Shukla Yajurveda, and the other one is Krishna Yajurveda. Out of which Sri Isopanishad is the last chapter of Shukla Yajurveda. And then yesterday beautifully Vamshidhara Prabhuji covered all the 6 slokas with one invocation prayer as well. So I will be continuing the same. A quick summarization before that on what actually Sri Upanishad, so that I can get a continuity. He started with invocation prayer where Krishna, where Supreme Personality of Godhead is the proprietor of everything, which explains. And then in first sloka, it explains like Krishna has given us a quota. We have to be in that limit and serve him. And the second mantra covers all the what are the rewards we get if we do if we follow mantra 1, and mantra 3 states on what are the punishments if we don't follow it. So, and then mantra 4 covers how great Krishna is, and what are his inconceivable capabilities, that he's in charge of. It also states that he's in charge of demigods. It's in charge of demigods. And fifth sloka illustrates the same, where he's been explained that though he has no leg, he can walk, and though he is inside everything, sorry, he can walk and simultaneously not walk, and then he is far and near both at the same time, and near to us in both at the same time. And then for last illustration is how he's he's inside everything and still he's aloof everything. So now today I will be covering 7 and 8 sloka, which is a continuation of mantra 6. Mantra 6 states that how Uttamadhikari or Mahabhagavat sees the world. Mahabhagavat, how he's even in diversity, how he sees this world with spiritual spark. So seven theme of mantra 7 is ekatvam anupashyatah, means he sees oneness in all living entities. And then mantra 8 conveys shuddham. The theme revolves around shuddham apa vidam. While glorifying Krishna, it's been glorified that just by associating Krishna, who is pure, it can act as an antiseptic and prophylactic at the same time. So mantra 7 starts like this. Yasmin sarvani bhutani atmaiva bhut vijannatah tatra ko moha ka shoka ekatvam anupashyatah. Just a minute. Translation by His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. One who always sees all living entities as spiritual sparks in quality one with the Lord becomes a true knower of things. What then can be an illusion or anxiety for him? So here this sloka states how a Mahabhagavat or Uttamadhikari sees the world. He sees unity in the oneness in the whole all living entities, between all living entities. So para 1 of the purport goes like this. The essence is Srimad Bhagavad Gita says oneness, Mahabhagavat says oneness in energy and energetic. There is no difference between an energy and energetic. So Shakti and Shaktiman has no difference. According to Mahabhagavat, he sees the oneness. Mantra 6, which also states similar explanation about how he sees the world. He who systematically sees everything in relation to the Supreme Lord, who sees all living entities as his parts and parcel, and who sees the Supreme Lord within everything, never hates anything or any being. And mantra 7 states, one who always sees all living entities as spiritual sparks in quality with one with the Lord becomes a true knower of things. What then can be an illusion or anxiety for him? These two sloka are somewhat similar to Bhagavad Gita sloka. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne, Brahmane Gavi Hastine, Sunichaiva Swapakecha, Pandita Samadharshanam. So Pandita or a Mahabhagavat or Uttamadhikari sees the world in relation with Krishna. So he sees everything equal in equanimity. So, and then the essence of this sloka is being covered in para 2. In paragraph 2, Srila Prabhupada says about ekatvam, spiritual oneness. Who can say it? He's again telling that only Uttamadhikari or Madhyamadhikari can say it. Uttamadhikari can see it because he has that, it is very spontaneous to him. And Madhyamadhikari, he can say it because of the knowledge he takes from the revealed scripture. So Prabhupada here says, conveys us that we should see the world with respect to, as revealed in the revealed to us in our Vedic system. And then he is telling what is the spiritual oneness. Spiritual oneness is saying living entity are qualitatively one, not quantitatively one with Supreme Lord. His example, giving an example of fire and spark. Fire and spark share the share the same quantity. Though spark has come from fire, it shares the same quality, but it is when it comes to quantity, both have a huge difference. Similarly, we can see it in just a minute. Yes. Similarly, we can see it in in another example or another analogy Prabhupada has given. Prabhupada is saying that salt in a drop of a sea or salt in the whole sea are their chemical composition is same. But when we compare the quantity of both of them, there's a huge difference. So here there is the one, we can say oneness with respect to quality, not with quantity. And the other oneness he's writing here is with and living entities interest is same with Supreme Lord. He's giving an analogy of a family. You can take an example of a Vaishnava family where Krishna is the center of the family. The whole family strives to please Krishna. So if this is one of the example. If it's not normal family also, there is one reason which drives the family together. So other is the national interest. Like we, as a citizen of any country, we have our lovingness to our Krishna, our country. Just like we are there are many individuals, but everyone have their own interest, but still we as an individual, we love our country. So that oneness, that spirit of patriotism is the driving force which run the country. So similar, that is the spiritual oneness. That kind of spiritual oneness is what Prabhupada is mentioning. So if we are saying when oneness is with respect to quality and interest, then why not? Prabhupada is asking about a spiritual interest, about an argument that why not quantitatively? Why we are not one? Because we are just part and parcel of Krishna, and just one soul has 80% qualities of Krishna, what Krishna has. So if we are qualitatively equal also, then we would have transcended this material world very easily. So it has been stated in sloka number 4 also, that not even demigods who provide us rain and food can surpass the Supreme Lord. So next is this perfection is with respect to Brahma Bhuta, that is enjoyment, keeping Krishna in center. So next we in para 3 keeping Supreme Lord as center brings enjoyment for all. It's in Vedanta Sutra, it's been explained that we are Anandamayo Bhashyati. Like we are the blissful entities, living entities, we are always meant to be happy, but due to our vision, our center is not Krishna, or our vision is not proper. That's why we are suffering here. So we are looking out for happiness in a wrong platform. And since if we see an object and our vision is material and the object around us is material, then we will indulge in sense gratification and we are in bondage, complete bondage. And if the material vision, there's something material and we think to use it in service of Krishna, then our purification starts. Like Prabhupada he used to use all luxurious thing in the service of Krishna just to attract people and to serve Krishna. So next is when there is something spiritual and we see it material. There is a spiritual deity. which is being Archavigra deity, which is spiritual in its nature, but due to our material contamination, if we see that material that into a we call it as an idol or something, we end up doing one offense. So next is, we have something spiritual, we have a deity and we see it as direct incarnation or direct expansion of Krishna and Radha him themselves, then purification with ecstasy starts. So after, once we see, once we start relating all material thing, once our vision is proper, our channel or our center is proper, that is, when we surrender to Krishna, we have achieved that oneness. By achieving this oneness, first is we will get out of this material miseries. There will be freedom from moha and shoka, that is illusion and lamentation, and we will be out of freedom. We will be out from repeated birth and death. So fourth paragraph concentrates on effect of rejecting oneness. What if we reject that oneness? So in that case, Prabhupada says that we want godless civilization has been sponsored by the mundane politician or modern politician. Like there in many purports in Bhagavatam, it's been written that Prabhupada again and again writes that people want Rama Rajya without Ram. That is the problem. We cannot be happy unless we are God conscious. So yeah, this kind of civilization will be full of anxieties, and immediately once the civilization is immediately this kind of civilization should be crushed. And to add on to that, Krishna in Bhagavad Gita says, just to, if you want to cross over this material nature, then you have to surrender to me. Yeah. Next we have in para 5, Prabhupada speaks on having the same interest which Krishna has, becoming one in interest with God. So our whole energy and everything should be it should be invested in serving the interest of Lord. It is Atma Bhuta in this sloka means the same as Brahma Bhuta in the other slokas of Bhagavad Gita. There's Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma. So here Atma and Paramatma should be understood, that we are minute Atmas and Krishna is Paramatma. So by serving, this is our constitutional position. Just by serving the interest of God, we will have a good pleasure. Just he has given an analogy where a child obeys the child or a children obeys his father, and this father has expanded his family just to get a pleasure. So similarly, Krishna has expanded to get pleasure. If we don't serve that purpose, then there will be no spiritual harmony. Similarly, a family with whose interests is not same, who is not obedient to children who are not obedient to their father, are actually ruining the family atmosphere of their home. So if they obey, they will be happy, and the father will be happy, and the whole family will be happy. Similarly, if we obey to our guru and our scriptures and Krishna, then definitely our life will be happy, and we will achieve that spiritual bliss, plus Krishna will also be happy. One who sees one interest is very rare. So this kind this in this paragraph, Prabhupada says that neither Lord nor the living entities are impersonal. Like I am an individual. I was an individual, and then I will be an individual. Similarly, Krishna, like any other person, like I know my Prabhuji. Similarly, Krishna is also a person. He is not. He has a form, and there is a beautiful analogy given in 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where it says that green parrot goes to a green tree not to be one with the tree, but to enjoy the fruit of the tree. Similarly, if we go to Krishna's abode, then it's not to merge in his abode. It's to serve him and take that transcendental pleasure. So once someone understands this knowledge, someone is aware of this transcendental position of him, he immediately surrenders to Krishna, and that kind of a person is very rare. So if if that person, if he attains that position, then he will be out of illusion and lamentation and repeated birth and death. We will be covering this Isopanishad's 8th mantra. Saprayaga chukram ayya akyayam avranam ashna viram shuddham apapa vidam kavir manase paribhuha swayam bhur yathat dhatyota yathat atyato vratan vyadacha vyadadhaj chashvati biya samabhavayah. Such a person must factually know the greatest of all, the personality of Godhead, who is unembodied, omniscient, beyond reapproach, without veins, pure and uncontaminated, the self-sufficient philosopher who has been fulfilling everyone's desires since time immemorial. Yeah, here Krishna is being said that Krishna is the whole purport revolves around Prabhupada explaining how Krishna's form is transcendental and what are how omnipotent he is, how he expands as Archa Vigraha, and how he's been fulfilling our desires, and how great he is, and greatest of all in the sense he's a provider and he's self-sufficient, and with his association his association acts like an antiseptic and prophylactic. The first paragraph of this Isopanishad 8 purport states that Supreme Lord has transcendental form. Akayam Ashnaviram means Supreme Personality of Godhead has Akayam means someone who has body. Akayam means someone who doesn't have body. So this can be interpreted in a wrong way. In a way, Prabhupada has again said that Krishna has a form. In Nectar of Instruction, 5th sloka, when I was reading, I saw a word called Isham, where that Isham, which in the meaning, Prabhupada has written as deity. No, he would have said Supreme Personality of Godhead, but at that in the to convey that Krishna has a form, and Archa Vigraha or deity form is expanded form of Krishna. He in his lectures and in his at many attempts, he has again and again said that Krishna has a form, God has a form. So this sloka says akayam. Akayam is someone who has no body. That actually means that Krishna, we being a personalist, we may say that Krishna has a form. But no, this statement is wrong. Just like just to prove something, we will interpret in our way. But after saying akayam, we go back, we see Ashnaviram. Ashnaviram means no veins, no body, no veins. So if to an argument, if someone, it is like someone, I'm telling someone has no house, and I'm telling at the same time that the person has no no hall or no kitchen. There, if it doesn't make sense. If someone has a house, if doesn't have a house, that you don't have to explicitly say again that that person don't have hall or kitchen or something like that. Similarly here, akayam is a wrong interpretation. Akaya means here Prabhupada has translated it as unembodied. That means one who has no material body. His material body is not like our mundane material body. There is difference between there is no difference between this body, his body and his soul, and his mind. He is complete. He is complete whole. So he has his anatomy is different from us. His he don't need a vein to survive. So he is not forced to accept any body by law of material nature. In Brahma Samhita also it states that such he is Satchidananda Vigraha. So he is eternally eternally transcendental and blissful, living he is a living form. So not living form, sorry. Next is he is omnipotent. Prabhupada in second paragraph says Supreme Lord for the Supreme Lord's transcendental form is omnipotent or Shukra. That means he again states the other paragraph, next paragraph, some like later paragraph of Brahma Samhita, Angani Yasit Sakalendriya, where it states that Krishna's body, Krishna's body parts functions can be interchanged. Like he can eat from his eyes, he can walk from his eyes, he can hear from his hands. His body is not like our body. But to support to that, Shruti mantra also says that he has no hands and legs like ours, but he still accepts and runs faster. Yeah, there was here in Prabhupada says, Prabhupada explains like when requested by Mahabhagavat, like or Acharyas or someone, the omnipotent and omniscient Lord appears as Archa Vigraham. Here Prabhupada explains here, that concludes here in this paragraph, that Krishna being omnipotent and omniscient can actually convert matter into spirit and spirit into matter. So what can stop him? When requested by Mahabhagavat or authorized acharyas, here he comes in a Archa Vigraha form. This Krishna is the original form of Lord. From him comes Rama, Balarama, and Narasimhadev, etc. But when he expands as a Archa Vigraha, that actually means he has it has same potency as these avatars. So he has come into this Archa Vigraha form just to accept service. Some people cannot appreciate this Archa Vigraha, or because they think that in Bhagavad Gita 9th chapter also, Krishna says this, Manushyam Tanum. He was use this word that some people delude him to be as normal human being, while he is omnipotent and omniscient. So these kind of people cannot approach him. Some people don't have no information about him, and some people are Kanishta Adhikaris. They have just started the process, so they might have a doubt, or and then someone who is influenced by this material nature will not appreciate his spiritual form. In 5th and 6th paragraph, Prabhupada has covered that merciful Lord awards Arthan Vyadadat as per one's qualification and desires since time immemorial, Shashwati Bhyaha Samabhyaha. means he is actually according to our qualification and desire, we according to our karma, we get some of the other punishment or reward. But when we have certain desire and we are eligible for certain things, that doesn't mean we should have it. It's only because of his mercy we are getting it. From just he has given Prabhupada has given a good analogy on this, that to be a judge, one should have a qualification. That qualification alone is not sufficient for one to become judge. There should be a superior authority who should designate you, who should give you a designation that you are a judge. So similarly, even if you are qualified, even if you are qualified, that doesn't we should not feel that we are eligible just because we are eligible, we got this. No, just because of Krishna's mercy we have got this. And in the next chapter, next paragraph, he says that people actually don't know what to ask from Krishna. Actually people ask because of their ignorance, they ask silly, like petty things. So once but Krishna being very kind, he doesn't interfere. If we ask for sense gratification, he provides us sense gratification. And if we want to go to hell also, he'll not interfere. And if we want to go to him, he'll make all the provision that we reach to him. Prabhupada in his the seventh paragraph says that Krishna is greatest of all, or master of everything, and he's a provider, and rest all are beggars. We are all beggars because we ask for health, we ask for wealth, we ask for success, we ask for achievements, we ask for sense gratification. Devotees ask for services. We actually beg. Materialist people ask for liberation. So we should understand this. No matter what, like how good we feel about ourselves, we are all beggars. We only Krishna is the only provider, and unless we understand our real position, that we are servant of Krishna, we will be repeatedly asking for things which are there for sense gratification. Krishna, in 8th paragraph, Prabhupada proves that Supreme Lord is self-sufficient, Swayam Bhuva. So he says that 5,000 years ago, when Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead, appeared on this earth, he actually killed many demons like Aghasura, Svatasura, and Putana, and many demons. But he did not go for any extra endure. It was completely due to it was very casual for him. Every day he used to wake up and he used to kill demons. He did not we don't read that he's achieving for some siddhi, or some demigods have blessed him. No, even he lifted Govardhan hill. At that time also, we did not see that he's going every day to a gym and working for practicing the weightlifting. No, he just did it casually. And similarly, when it comes to dancing with gopis, he did not even approach gopis. Gopis came to him, and then without any social restriction, he had the transcendental pleasure with gopis. So he is self-sufficient. He don't need whatever he wants. He can have it. So next is this transcendental dance, which is actually in material platform. If you see the same transcendental as some Rasa Leela or dancing with girls, has been seen as a offense, or like it's not a immoral thing. But sannyasis appreciate this Rasa Leela because of this transcendental purity in it. Wherever Krishna is, there will be a purity, because there will be a transcendental love shared between him and his devotees. even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he heard about this gopis, he actually worshipped gopis for their um, for this particular for this lila, and it has been explained. Prabhupada compares Krishna to an as an antiseptic, and he compares him to a sun. Sun, just like sun, does not touch anything, and sun can reach into the filthiest part and still sterilize and make the place pure. Similarly, uh, Krishna, sun is just a material ball. Prabhupada says, what to speak about Krishna? Krishna is master of hundreds and hundreds of sun. So just by being in association with Krishna, one get purified. And then prophylactic. Krishna's association acts as a prophylactic. He says that even the power of association, Krishna in Bhagavad Gita states that if someone is a durachara and he still is on in devotional sense, then he should be considered as pure because he's in a right path. Similarly, like with this respect, when we say that Krishna is when if someone is contaminated and if he is continuously in service of Krishna, then he'll definitely be pure one day, and because sins cannot touch Krishna, and he's transcendental to all this material sins and everything. And with that, I will go for a conclusion, a takeaways. In chapter 7, we learned how Mahabhagavat sees the unity in the whole whole living with respect to all living entities, and we saw how the interest was with respect to quality, and oneness was with respect to quality and interest. And next in this purport, we saw how Krishna is not impersonal, though it with time we have seen that akayam has changed its meaning. We are going for material meaning rather than spiritual meaning, and then and then we see how omnipotent he is, how omniscient he is, that he can convert spirit to matter, matter to spirit. He takes our service as an archa vigraha, and he is greatest of all. He's a provider, and with him, with just by his association, we can be pure. Thank you, Prabhujis and Matajis, for giving me this opportunity. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Hari Hari Bol. Very nice and eloquent and well illustrated, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
So I request devotees to please share their comments and post their questions also. So in the meanwhile, we will have a bhajan before going to the second half by His Grace Santa Gopeshwar Prabhu. So we will now be having a bhajan by Bhavya, and he is going to sing Akaroda Paramananda. So Bhavya, are you ready? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Just give a minute. Vasant Prabhu will be sharing the screen.
Yes, bro.
So I would request that you read the meaning and then go into the bhajan.
The noble Lord Nityananda is never angry, for he is the personification of supreme transcendental bliss. Devoid of any concept of false ego, Nitai wanders about the town. Going from door to door in the residences of the most fallen and wretched souls, he freely distributes the gift of Harinam Mahamantra. He exclaims to whomever he sees while holding straw between his teeth, Please purchase me by worshipping Gaur Hari. Saying thus, Nityananda Prabhu rolls about the ground, appearing like a golden mountain tumbling in the dust. Lochana Das Thakura says, whoever has not experienced the awakening of affection for such an avatar as this, that sinful person simply comes and goes uselessly in the cycle of repeated birth and death. Hare Krishna.
अक्रोध नित्यानंदा की जय, शशि गौर निताय की जय।
One minute, just 1 minute, just 1 minute, just 1 minute, just 1 minute.
Okay.
So I wanted to make a small announcement. So today our Satsangi Rajendra Dwarakanath Das, so his mother left his body, her body. She was aged 65 and named Vijay Lakshmi. And basically I wanted to dedicate this bhajan so that her soul reaches the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. So let us all pray for that. So sorry for interrupting Prabhu and Mataji. Sorry for interrupting Mataji and Bhavya. So please go ahead. So just wanted to request all devotees to keep Vijay Lakshmi, the mother of Rajendra Dwarakanath Das, so in their prayers when we do this bhajan. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Mansi.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Bhavya. Thank you, Mataji,
Hare Krishna.
for the nice bhajan. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So we will continue with the class from Santa Gopeshwar Prabhu. Over to you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I believe you are now the. You can share your screen. Ah, yes.
Yes, Prabhu. I'm using the same ID, Prabhu. Just renamed. Hare Prabhu. Thank you. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Krishna Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharani Visheshwari Pracharani. Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jai. So we will continue with the verses 9 to 12. Yesterday we had a very beautiful session by Vamshidhari Prabhu, and he walked us through the historical understanding of and the technical placement of Upanishad, Isha Upanishad specifically. So a simpler meaning of what is Upanishad first. So Upanishad means, if you know, when we say Upvas, means basically sit near or come near to something. So when you say Upa, it is sit near, and Ni means down somewhere, sit down somewhere. So when Shad means to sit, so it is Upa means near, Ni means down, and Shad means sit. So basically sitting down near to. So whom do we sit down near to in terms of spiritually? Our spiritual master. So Isha Upanishad is, Isha means the supreme controller, Shavasya. So Isha Upanishad will be talking about the supreme lord. Isha Upanishad starts where the material world stops. So this is how you can define Isha Upanishad. Probably you might be hearing for the third time since yesterday, but let me repeat it again. Isha Upanishad is the last part of Yajurveda, and it is very important as it gives very fundamental definitions of many important aspects of the Vedas. So the nature of the supreme person of Godhead is described, and how spiritual and material things are related to him is mentioned over here. So one interesting thing is Isha Upanishad was never written as a book by Srila Prabhupada. In fact, it was a series of articles in Back to Godhead, which Prabhupada has published even before ISKCON was formed. So this was very interesting piece of information that I understood from other Vaishnavas. So the 18 slokas in Isha Upanishad can be divided into 8 sessions. We will now be discussing the session, which is basically the guidelines, the 9 to 11th verse, which is the guideline for acquiring knowledge. And the 12th sloka, we'll also be touching on the 12th sloka, which falls under the guideline for practicing it. So we'll continue in the same theme that Purna Premamayi Gopi Divyasi was. So we will try to understand the verses from the viewpoint of the author, that is His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So discussions will be around the purport of Prabhupada, while we will refer to the information from other authentic scriptures or the other Vaishnavas, but will be aligned to this purport. So one interesting point about the purport of Srila Prabhupada is Prabhupada sometimes seems to go from topic to topic and backward and forward. If you look at all the points, and then sometime probably we may be able to put it into a more strict linear order. While this may appeal to our mechanical mentality, but Prabhupada's organization of these ideas seems like more on the basis of taste or how they support each other's appreciation. For example, a person, if you're served, if there is serving of Chapan Bhog, a person may probably go eat one, then he may go to next, he may go to next, he may go in a linear manner. But there may be some who would like to take little sabji, little rasgulla, little gulab jamun, and then again back to sabji, little roti, little papad. So he may move around as per the taste and appreciation of these food items. So this is how Prabhupada prefers to go in most of his purports. So if we look, before we jump onto this meaning of going to 9 to 10 verses for today of this batch, of this group category, you will, if you look at the meanings of 9 to 10, you literally look at it little confusing. For example, if you look at 9th verse, it says, Avidya takes you to darkness and Vidya takes you to greater darkness. So it sounds really confusing, right? It looks like both Avidya and Vidya are bad. Then 10th verse says, Vidya gives you one result, Avidya gives you another result. While 11 says, Vidya and Avidya together gives you immorality. So first it says, Vidya, Avidya takes you to darkness. Second day say they both give different result. Third day say they both give you immortality, which is good result. So how do we understand this? So this is where Prabhupada and Parampara come to our rescue. So this confusion is removed by the commentaries of the Acharyas and Srila Prabhupada. So how do we understand this conflict? So 9th verse, when it says avidya, it is referred to the ignorant pursuit of sense gratification, whereas vidya refers to the knowledge for pursuing sense gratification. That's why it is more dangerous. For 10th verse, avidya is referred to sense gratification again, and vidya is referred to pursuit of Krishna consciousness, so knowledge in Krishna consciousness. And whereas vidya and avidya, in that 11th verse, are something which is related to Krishna consciousness. So avidya is maintaining bodily, maintenance of body for achieving our goals, self-realization, whereas vidya is again the same, knowledge for Krishna consciousness. So this when we look at this, so if you see Sanskrit and the Vedas, it is a contextual language. So Atma has different multiple meanings. Atmaram has multiple meanings. So similarly, vidya, avidya has to be taken in proper context over here, and this can only be done by a person who has relished the nectar from all the shastras. So we'll move on to our verse for the day. Issue 9. Adam tama pravishanti ye vidyam upasate tato bhuya ivate tamo ya yu vidyayam rataha. Those who engage in the culture of niscent activities shall enter into the darkest region of ignorance. Worse still are those engaged in the culture of so-called knowledge. So mantra 9, which are discussing now, states that those who neglect spiritual knowledge will be covered with darkness and ignorance. So irrespective of whether you are doing it through avidya or vidya process, if you neglect spiritual, you will be in darkness. And we can feel this darkness in this this covering of frustration in modern society. We are so advanced materially, but still the spiritual knowledge is being avoided, and that is why we can feel the heat. So we have 9 purports. So let us go through these purports. So avidya or ignorance, I will move the cursor as we go through the paras. I would not be calling out the names so that it would not break the connectivity. So avidya or ignorance is undoubtedly dangerous. So there is no question about it. But vidya is even more, or knowledge is even more dangerous when mistaken or misguided. So, and that is more evident now. From the purport, Prabhupada says that modern civilization has advanced considerably in the field of mass education. But the result that people are more unhappy than even before because of the stress placed on the material advancement to the exclusion of the more important topic in life, the spiritual aspect. And if you see, I believe last year or even this year, probably, I do not know, the top 10 reasons for suicidal, one of them, I mean, for the death in US, one of them was distress, or basically people were in grief. They were complete distress, devastated. So this was one of the reason. They were in complete stress. So previously people may be little uncomfortable when they did not materially progress. They may have to walk, they may have to sweat under the sun. But now when people have progressed, but they may use automobile, they may be working AC, so they are comfortable, but they are now comfortably miserable. That is the current situation now. So Martin Luther King, he has once mentioned that we have now guided missiles and we have misguided men, and this is our current situation. So it is hence better to have less education, less vidya, than to have advanced material vidya. From this perspective, a godless civilization, Prabhupada says in the Parvat, a godless civilization directed towards the so-called advancement of education is more dangerous than a civilization in which the masses of people are less educated. So this is what we said. So less education is better than wrong education. So real vidya is the supreme Lord, is the proprietor of everything, Ishavasya. That is the real vidya. And real avidya is basically forgetful of this particular fact. It's called avidya. So karmis are the one who are, which Prabhupada highlights in this purport, is they are forgetful of this real vidya. So karmis are the materialistics, who you can say kind of live an animistic life. So all the activities of karmis are more or less, they are based on the satisfaction of the senses. The cause of this ignorance is wrong education, and those who provide wrong education are even worse. So Krishna said in 7.15 Bhagavad Gita, na mam dushkritino mudaha prapadyante, means these miscreants who are grossly foolish do not surrender unto me. So these people and their teachers are actually mudas. Prabhupada said in the purport, and those who play the role of helping this civilization in the name of education and advancement are actually doing more harm than those who are on the platform of gross sense gratification. So people who are enjoying senses are there worse, but people who are teaching them to do more sense gratification, motivating them to do more sense, even more worse. So Prabhupada gives a very beautiful analogy over here. He says, the advancement of people, the advancement of learning basically by a godless person is as dangerous as a valuable jewel which is placed on the hood of a cobra. So a cobra decorated with a valuable jewel is more dangerous than a cobra without a jewel. And that is very obvious that if you see a jewel on the cobra, you would prefer, you are tend to take that, and you will approach the cobra and you would get yourself bitten. And that is what, if you see in many Hindi movies earlier, you would hear about a nag money. So people, this money, if they would attract people, and they would get themselves killed and not all. So modern education is towards this sense gratification, but we know that above this sense is the mind, and above mind is the intelligence, and above intelligence is the soul. So the aim of education should not be towards the lowest of it, which is sense gratification. It should be towards self-realization. So self-realization of the spiritual values of the soul, that is important. So any education that does not lead to self-realization must be considered as avidya or nisans. That is a very simple definition of avidya with respect to this particular verse. So Prabhupada talks about two main sources of this avidya, and Prabhupada in this particular, which are basically Veda Vadarata and Mayaya Parata Jnana. So in this verse he speaks about Veda Vadarata, who themselves pose, these are the people who themselves pose as very learned in Vedic literature, but unfortunately they are completely derived from the purpose of Vedic literature. And what is the purpose? Krishna, Vedesha sarva ahameva vedyo. So by all the Vedas I am to be known, but they are derived of this particular purpose. So Prabhupada says in purport that the purpose of all the Vedic literature is to awaken God consciousness in the forgetful living being. And this same purpose is presented in various scriptures across the world for the understanding of foolish individual. So the ultimate purpose of all this religion is to bring one back to Godhead. But Vedavada does not see this, and that's why he sees all the religions are basically conflicting with each other. And they end up giving their own interpretation of the Vedas. They consider attaining heavenly planet is the goal of Vedas and not Krishna. These people even sometimes condemn the Puranas, and they say, forget about the Acharyas, they neglect the authority of the great Acharyas. So they fail to understand that Vedic literature is a collection of extraordinary text which can be understood only through disciplic succession. They fail to understand that. And as the reason of this misinterpretation, what happens? They fall further into ignorance. And those and also they bring those people who follow them into this ignorance because they have no knowledge of Vedas. The second type, Prabhupada, which speaks in this part of the purport is Mayaya Parata Jnana. So, which is also mentioned in Bhagavad Gita 7.14. So, Mayaya is by illusionary energy. Aparata means basically stolen. And Jnana means whose knowledge. So, basically, Maya, Parata, Jnana are the people whose knowledge are stolen by illusion. So, they are the class of men who are like self-made God. They think of themselves as God, and they think there is no need of worshipping any other God. So they are kind of close to Mayavad philosophy in that sense. In Chaitanya Charitamrita 18.109, Prabhupada mentions in purport, Danda Grahana Matreno Naro Narayana Bhavet. Means simply by accepting the danda, the stick of the order of sannyasa, one is immediately transformed to Narayana. This is their philosophy. Therefore, Mayavadi sannyasis address themselves saying Om Namo Narayana, which means one Narayana is worshipping the another Narayana. So they are under a very dangerous illusion, and they believe that their entrappment in this illusion is just a part of the lila. So if you ask them, boss, you're under Maya, right? Oh, this is just a part of my lila. That's it. So Prabhupada argues. He puts this argument in the purport. If God were entrapped by Maya, then Maya would be more powerful than God. It doesn't, isn't it? I mean, this is very simple logical argument. Such men, what they say is, God is all powerful. They agree that God is all powerful, but they say that I am the God. But then, if they say that they are all powerful, then there is no possibility that they can be empowered by an illusion, Maya. This is not possible. It doesn't happen. So this Maya Parata Jnana, they are the people who are unable to deliver themselves from illusion. So what to speak about their followers? They all are trapped in this material world. So in next verse, Isopanishad, Anyat evahur vidyaya, Nyat ahur avidyaya, iti shushruma dhiranam, yenastad vichachakshire. The wise have explained that one result is derived from the culture of knowledge, and that different result is obtained from the culture of nescience. So this is the kind of understanding we all had earlier. So mantra 9 described that cultivating ignorance and vidya and avidya took you in the dark regions, whereas mantra 10 says that certain result is achieved by vidya, whereas certain result is achieved by avidya. So how do we cultivate spiritual knowledge? This is the process. So Prabhupada helps us understand this purport by referring to Bhagavad Gita 13.8 to 12, which lists around 20 processes of acquiring or cultivating the knowledge, like humility, cleanliness, not being much attached to family life, following regulative principles, aspiring to live in a solitary place, and so on and so on. So we will not be going through this, all of them now. But usually we have a conception, in the sense people in general have a conception that acquiring knowledge means just reading about books. But it is much more. It is the whole culture of life. If you look at these 20 items, they define a different culture of life. Take Ravana, for example. He was highly intelligent, but he could not understand who Krishna is, who Rama is. because he lacked this humility, like being humble. Even if while practicing Krishna consciousness, we are not humble, we may look down to other devotees, we may treat ourselves senior and the other junior. When we have this pride, we don't lack humility, then our knowledge will be incomplete. And this culture is very important where we develop these qualities. And we find different categories of this Vidya as well. So like Prahlad Maharaj says, knowledge is devotion, which is basically the transcendental category. Socrates, who was a Greek philosopher, he said, knowledge is a virtue, which is in the mode of sattvic, the goodness. Francis Bacon, who was a English philosopher from UK, who actually helped, whose quotes basically helped science, motivated science. So he said, knowledge is power, which is Rajasic, and we can understand power means science. Yes, I want to control things. And most of the knowledge which we see now is basically tamasic. Like you would see, like how many children did Sanjay Dutt had? Who is Ranbir Kapoor's girlfriend? Shah Rukh Khan's daughter has white bedsheet in her bedroom. And I'm not exaggerating. These are the news you actually get to read. This is what you find in newspaper today. This is completely tamasic. So Chaitanya Charandas has nicely quoted, the divorce of education from transformation leads to disruption. If there is no transformation from the education, it leads to disruption. So Prabhupada confirms that except for these 20 qualities, which is mentioned in this Bhagavad Gita 8 and these 4 slokas, all other methods are to be considered as in the category of nescience, avidya. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakura, what he said was, all forms of material knowledge are merely external feature of the illusionary energy, and that by cultivating them, one becomes no better than a donkey. So this is what Bhaktivinoda Thakura says. So what's wrong with the current education system? Prabhupada says in purport, even a boy thinks himself to be independent, and then he pays no respect to the elders, and this causes the trouble. So it is said in Kali Yuga, finding fault in someone is requires as much cleverness as finding water in an ocean. Finding fault in someone requires as much cleverness as finding water in the ocean. Kaler dosha nide rajan means, my dear king, this Kali Yuga is an ocean full of faults. So there is actually no intelligence required, and people keep doing this fault finding. The education system has no amanita, which is basically humility, or it has no saucham, which is cleanliness. There are no instructions on the regulatory principles of brahmacharya. So they do not develop any faith in the shastras, any scriptural injunctions. So religious principles are taught in few places, but they are just for the sake of name and fame only. Like if you have seen in Ganesh festival, Ganesh Utsav, the size of the deity, actually it is directly proportional to the size of the false ego of the maker. And also during the festival, you have a deity over here of Ganesha, Lord Ganesha, and there are some filmy dances that happen over here. There's some dance competitions. During the procession, they play filmy songs in front of the deities, and they find this perfectly okay. So this is the current status of religious principles that are being taught. Some people also, because of the knowledge, they also end up being scientists who are just busy discovering lethal weapons. May it be GPS guided missiles or atom bombs and so on, or COVID, if we believe the assumption that it is a biological weapon. So this is where basically people are trained to invest their knowledge into. The education system is actually killing, if you see, it is actually killing the original consciousness of the soul, which is basically to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If you see, this system of education actually ends up into nationalism or chauvinism. So chauvinism is basically the belief that my nation is better than is better than other nations. Men are better than women, and so on. So a feeling of betterness is basically chauvinism. So Prabhupada says in the purport, but no one considers that this tiny earth is just a lump of matter floating in immeasurable space, along with many other lumps, just like dust particle in the air. These small creatures are trying to dominate these unlimited planets. They create their own nations within this planet for the sake of enjoyment. However, one nation then becomes the source of anxiety for other nations. And if you see 50% of our effort or a majority of our budget also for many countries, it is invested in defense for the same reason. So ultimately this result repeats in life and death. So today I may be Indian, next birth I may be Canadian or something else. So it doesn't matter. So is this nationalism wrong? Should we stop thinking of being an Indian? No, this is not what our Shastra is saying. But we have to understand there is something called as Paradharma, there is something called as Aparadharma. So Param is supreme dharma. So nationalist feeling is not condemned over here, but we have to transcend this feeling of nationalism and we have to go towards something better for the soul. So Shri Upanishad warns us of this faulty type of education, and Bhagavad Gita gives us the instruction for development of this education. So how do you obtain the education? It must be obtained from a dhira. So Prabhupada explains who is dhira. So dhira is who is not disturbed by material illusion. Simple definition. If other goes and says that dhira realizes that his material body and the mind that he has acquired by chance through material association are but foreign elements. Therefore, he should simply make the best use of a bad bargain. He should simply make the best use of the bad bargain. Prabhupada continues and says that a dhira is undisturbed because he knows that the material body and the mind are bad bargains for the spiritual living entity. A dhira knows that the living entity has actual functions in the living spiritual life, whereas this material life is a dead thing. A dhira knows that as long as the living spiritual entity sparks this or manipulates this dead lump of matter, the dead world appears to be living. And because of this fact, you would see that because of this knowledge which he has realized, dhira is undisturbed. So one can become dhira by following some process. What? Regulative principles which we have. We should take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master, which is very important. We should submissively listen to a guru, just like an Arjuna, when he has how he listens to his spiritual master at that time, who is Krishna, and the guru is as good as the Lord himself. So this process of learning from this is the process of learning vidya from a dhira. So modern politicians who pose themselves as dhiras are actually adhiras, who are basically untrained. So one cannot expect knowledge from such people. They are simply busy filling their pockets, and we all know that. Then how would these people who are simply busy for a sense enjoyment lead us to the path of self-realization? That is not possible. Moving on to verse 11. Vidyam cha yas tad vedo bhayam saha avidyaya mrityum tirtva vidyarmritam ashnute. One who can learn the process of nescience and that of transcendental knowledge side by side can transcend the influence of repeated birth and death and enjoy the blessings of immortality. So earlier, the first verse, 9th verse we saw, they both take to vidya takes to ignorance. The 10th verse we saw, they both have different results. Here we are seeing they both will take us towards immortality. So 11th verse, basically, if you see, it kind of assures us that if we cultivate the material knowledge alongside with the spiritual knowledge, when we have centered Krishna, when we cultivate this knowledge, then we transcend this material knowledge and we attain our eternal position. So material science and knowledge alone cannot take us out of this material unlimited infinite loop of life and death. It has to be done only through spiritual education. That is when we revive our eternal relationship with Krishna. The advancement of this material knowledge has not solved any problem that we are all aware or agree of. They do not solve this problem of life, death, birth, old age, disease, and death. So even if you see Hiranyakashipu, He was the most powerful materialistic. He was as good as a parallel ruler of this universe, but he was killed by Narsimhadev. He could not become deathless by his various plans. Then what then can be accomplished by these tiny Hiranyakashipus of today, whose plans are thwarted from moment to moment by Maya? It is, we cannot achieve anything. In Darwin's theory, Darwin interestingly says that this is the survival of the fittest. But our claim is even the fittest don't survive over here. This is what material. Everyone has to struggle hard for the existence. But the laws of material nature are so hard and so fast that they do not allow anyone to surpass them. It is not possible at all. So we need a solution how to become immortal. Prabhupada gives us a solution to attain a permanent life. That is, go back to Godhead. To become happy, he says in the purport, to become happy in this life and attain permanent blissful life after leaving this material body, one must study sacred literature and obtain transcendental knowledge. From his kingdom, the personality of Godhead sends his bona fide servants to propagate this message by which one can return to Godhead. And sometimes the Lord himself comes to do this work. So if you actually see, and rightly pointed out by Prabhupada, the miseries of this material world serve to indirectly remind us of our incompatibility with this dead matter. Like if we feel pain in our body, if we feel some pain, it means there is something wrong in our body. It has to be fixed. Painkillers are not the solution. So similarly, in material world, intoxication, material comforts are not the solution for this distress that we are suffering. What does an intelligent person do if he has if he has pain in his body? He visits doctor, gets diagnosed, and then takes meditation and addresses the issue. Likewise, an intelligent person, what he does is he takes the note of the reminders of this material world. He approaches the spiritual master, engages himself in this culture of Vidya, and then transcends it. So Srimad Bhagavatam 1.9.36, the last sloka of the Chatur Sloka Bhagavatam says that Anvaya Vyati Rekhabhyam, means a person needs to understand Krishna, the Supreme Lord, both directly and indirectly. So directly means understand Krishna is the Supreme Person of Godhead. Finish. This is what you understand. But if you go by this direct method only, you may end up become a sentimentalist or a sahajiya. Indirect means, oh, the way we have been discussing now, this is a bad material, this is dukhalaya shaswatam, so this is not where I should stay. So this is, if you just do this without direct knowledge, then we may end up being an impersonalist or a philosopher. So neti neti, na iti na iti. So both are necessary. We should not be just focused on one. There should be right balance of both. So direct education is it comes from theory, direct theory. It comes from theory, whereas indirect education comes from experience. But experience has to be connected with the education for learning to happen. Experience should be connected with the education for us to learn. For example, my stomach is paining now. That is an experience. But if I'm not relating it to connecting it to the education which I had, that this is because I may have overeaten something today, then there is no use. So what I may think is, oh, my stomach is paining today because I think I may be unlucky today. Tomorrow I may be lucky. Let me overeat again. So no, there is no learning over here because we are not making the connection. Then how will you make spiritual advancement? There has to be the connection between this direct and indirect. So Prabhupada says in the purport, human life is the best opportunity for cultivating the spiritual knowledge. And a human being who does not take advantage of the opportunity is called Naradhama, the lowest of the human being, Naradhama. Prabhupada then continues in his purport, he says, but being fooled by the beauty of this illusionary energy, what happens is, this foolish human being, they undergo the same miseries repeated, and they do not learn lessons. There is no connection, right? They have this experience. There may probably direct experience, but they are not making that connection. So they do not learn their lessons from these different miseries that has been given from the nature, by the nature. So they continue with their unrestricted sense enjoyment. But this is not possible in the material body, right? Real enjoyment is only possible in the spiritual body. This is what we have to understand. So this does not mean that all the activities of the material body should be stopped. No, that is not what it says. We should make the best use of the bad bargain. So how? So spiritual knowledge requires our body, our mind, and therefore the maintenance of body and mind is very necessary to reach our goal. So we see these great sages, these great Vaishnavas, seniors in our yatra as well. They have attempted to do this. How? By making a balanced program of spiritual and material education knowledge. They never disallow the misuse of this human intelligence or the human body, this rare human birth, for diseased sense gratification. So this is what we should learn for them. Prabhupada mentions in the purport that in order to regulate this tendency, because everyone, this may be possible by some Vaishnavas, but not all of us would be able to control this. So in order to regulate this tendency towards sense gratification, we have Vedas. So Vedas, what they do? They mention the principle of salvation. They put it forward this principle, and they try to lure you, give you some carrot. Okay, come on, move little above this sense gratification. So this system employs dharma, artha, kama, moksha. But unfortunately, in present times, it is people are not interested in dharma and moksha. They are only interested in one, kama, and the artha which they do is only for kama. So the artha is for making some plans for the kama to enjoy. In some places, however, there is some adoption of dharma, but again, by this misguided men. But again, this dharma, they believe is they have to follow this dharma so that it will contribute to artha. Like, let's say some kind of Lakshmi puja, so they get some money, and when they get their money, get artha, what is done? Again, kama. They go into sense gratification. So in order to guarantee further sense gratification, even after that, they basically do this dharmic activities so that they get heaven, and then they can continue their sense gratification. But this is not the purpose of dharma. We know the path of dharma is meant for self-realization only. And the economy development, the artha part of is basically just to maintain the body in a healthy and sound way, so that we can achieve our goals. Prabhupada says that a person should lead a healthy life with a sound mind, and it is just to realize vidya. But the knowledge, but he should not engage in sense gratification, which is avidya, as per the 9th verse. So in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.14, it is said that tasmat ekena manasa bhagavan satvatam patihi shrotavya kirtitavyascha dhyeya pujyasta nityada. Sorry. So therefore, with single pointed attention, one should constantly hear about, glorify, remember, and worship the personality of Godhead, who is the protector of all the devotees. So this is Vidya, the guaranteed path to this, to attain Vidya is also described by Srila Guru Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, or many other acharyas basically. Also in Nectar of Instruction 8, it mentions the same. So I would read it out. The essence of all advice is that one should utilize one's full time, 24 hours a day, in nicely chanting and remembering the Lord's divine name, transcendental form, qualities, and eternal pastimes, thereby gradually engaging one's mind and tongue. In this way, one should reside in Vraja, that is Goloka Vrindavan Dhama, and serve Krishna under the guidance of devotees. One should follow in the footsteps of the Lord's beloved devotees who are deeply attached to this devotional service. So this is mentioned in Nectar of Instructions 8. So Dharma, Artha, Kama should actually aim towards the attainment of devotional service. Else they are all simply a form of sense gratification, avidya. But when we say that, is ISKCON doing something to help us in this process? Yeah, sorry, but before that, this is one interesting thing about bhakti. When we say, when we just mentioned that bhakti would lead us to realization. So here, if you see, when we do through, when a person does a karma, it is basically is abusing the senses for material purpose. So this is natural. this is how it is. It is natural that we do sense enjoyment, but this is binding for a low intelligent person. Bhakti, on the other hand, it abuses the material senses for spiritual purpose. So it still uses the material senses, but it is for spiritual purpose, not for material purpose. This is again a natural process, and it is liberating. If you say jnana, then they reject the senses either for spiritual or material purpose. So completely reject the senses. So pura nonsense, no sense at all. So these are they actually end up non-binding, but this is unnatural way of doing it. So this is what bhakti is. So again, coming back to the question, is Krishna doing something in this process of cultivating Vidya? The Krishna conscious movement, which is popularly known as Hare Krishna movement or ISKCON, founded by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, is actually performing the greatest welfare all over the world for the entire humanity by teaching them the actual knowledge, Vidya, the summit of which is to attain the pure love, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna. There could be no other greatest welfare work to the living entities than to make them aware of their real eternal constitutional position and teach them the process to regain the lost constitutional position. By culturing Krishna consciousness, ISKCON is actually trying to save the world from going to the hellish condition. And Prabhupada books play a vital role in achieving this purpose. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So we have finished the section from 9 to 11, which was the guidelines for knowledge. We would now understand the guidelines for practice in spirituality. So these are mantras from 12 to 14. So if you see this 12 to 14 mantras, they sound very similar in terms of essence as 9 to 14. So 12th verse says, Asambhuti leads to darkness, Sambhuti leads to greater darkness. So Asambhuti and Sambhuti, that means we would talk about later in some time. But Asambhuti and Sambhuti, they both take us to darkness. Verse 13 says, Shambhuti gives you some result, Ashambhuti gives you some other result. And 14 says, Shambhuti, Ashambhuti together gives immortality. So again, Srila Prabhupada and the Parampara comes to our rescues, and they give us a definition to it. So Ashambhuti means basically demigods over here, and Shambhuti means impersonal absolute. So worshipping both takes us to darkness. Ashambhuti in 13th would mean anything other than Supreme Lord, and Shambhuti means Supreme Lord. And Ashambhuti means material of the knowledge, material world, and Shambhuti means material of the Supreme Lord. So in 14th, Ashambhuti again, as we had seen the case of knowledge, Vidya. So Avidya was to support Vidya in the 11th verse. So here, even Ashambhuti is the knowledge of material world is to support Shambhuti, and that is why it will take on immortality. So today we will be, I will be only serving on verse number 12, and tomorrow's the devotees would be continuing with 13 till the last verse. So we will recite the 12th sloka issue. Andam tama pravishyanti ye shambhutam upasate tato bhuya ivate tamu ya yu shambhutyam rataha. Those who are engaged in the worship of demigods enter into the darkest region of ignorance, and still more do the worshippers of impersonal absolute. So let us first understand the meaning of the two words. So they have different meanings. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, basically, he has given it in his commentary for Isopanishad. He has given it total different meaning. So if you see his translation, you would see the opposite of this, a little opposite of this. But the essence remains the same. There is no deviation, no conflict, but it looks a little different to it. Whereas Shankaracharya has given a total different meaning. If you see Baldev Vidyabhushan, he has given a different meaning, which is in sync to Shankaracharya. But let us now understand what meaning Prabhupada has given to these two words. So Ashambhuti means those who has no independent existence. Ashambhuti in this case means demigods. Shambhuti means the absolute personality of Godhead, who is Swarat, who is completely independent of everything. So who is real Shambhuti? It is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita 10.2. Name vidusura gana prabhavam na maharshaya aham adirhi devanam maharshinam cha sarvasha. Neither the host of demigods or the great sages know my origin or opulence. For in every aspect, I am the source of the demigod and the sages. So Shambhutim, ultimate Shambhutim is none other than Krishna. But here in this verse, we are referring to, in the context, it is the impersonal form of the Lord. So Prabhupada mentions in the purport that uh, Krishna is the origin of all the powers that is being given to all the demigods, so great sages and mystics. Although they are empowered with these great powers, they have the limitations. These powers are not unlimited, and they are for a specific purpose only. So thus it is very difficult for these personalities to know Krishna himself. I may not know the origin of my father, what he did in childhood, unless my father tells me, because I have originated from him. Similarly, all the living beings, who, whatever powerful it may be, they can never know the origin of Krishna, because they have all themselves originated from Krishna. So it becomes when they see Krishna in their human form, different pastimes as Krishna, Rama, and so on, they get bewildered. It becomes very difficult for them to understand how Krishna appears in his internal potency, Yog Maya, in the form of a man or any creature. So Prabhupada says in purport, many philosophers and great rishis or mystics try to distinguish the absolute from the relative by their tiny brain. These are the people these are the one we discussed in our ninth verse. So this is Maya Parata Jnanam. So these are the people we are talking about. A finite person, how can he understand the infinite? This is not possible, right? Infinite has no end. Finite has ends. So how is it possible to understand an infinite? A finite would only know if an infinite tells him, oh, this is how I am. And that is when in his finite knowledge he can understand it. But unfortunately, people with this Maya, Parata, and other philosophers with their finite knowledge, they try to speculate about this infinite, and then they end up creating their own concept. So then the final result of this is, oh, absolute should be formless without any qualities. That is the final conclusion of such speculation. So Prabhupada mentions what is wrong with this negative conception. So he says this negative qualities are simply reversals of relative material qualities. So therefore they're relative. So we have qualities. Supreme Lord should not have qualities. So he's nirguna. So that is the logic. So by conceiving the absolute in this way, one can, at the most, they can reach the impersonal form of the Lord, known as Brahman, but they cannot make any progress further. How can anyone, with his logic, say that Krishna is a covered boy in Goloka Vrindavan playing with Gopas and Gopis? This does not fit our logic. And so people with the speculation, they can never come to this conclusion, and they would never accept this fact, which is mentioned in the Shastras. So they would never make any progress to Bhagwan perspective, the Bhagwan category of God realization. So Prabhupada says such mental speculators do not know that the absolute truth of Godhead is Krishna, that the impersonal Brahman is a glaring effulgence of his transcendental body, or that Paramatma, the super soul, is his all-pervading plenary representations. Nor do they know that Krishna has his eternal form with his transcendental qualities of eternal bliss and knowledge. The dependent demigods and the great sages imperfectly consider him to be a powerful demigod, and they consider the Brahman effulgence to be an absolute truth. And this is what we saw even in the pastime of Indra. He thought Krishna may be some powerful demigod, and so did Brahma think. So this is how it is. It is difficult to understand Krishna as he is. So Prabhupada gives solution again over here, and quoting the solution what Prabhupada has given, he says that, but the devotees of the Lord, by dint of surrendering to Krishna and by their unallowed devotion, they can understand who Krishna is, that Krishna is the absolute, he is the supreme person of Godhead, he is the absolute, and that everything emanates from him. Such devotees, they continuously render service to Krishna. This is how we can actually attain, we can understand the Vidya, the real origin of, or we can't say origin, the reality of Krishna. So if you see, it is actually it is very difficult and difficult to justify this Mayavadi philosophy, because at many places the scriptures talk about the personality and the relationships of the God, especially in Srimad Bhagavatam. So what Mayavadis do is they try to justify, saying that wherever scriptures talk about form, it is lower level teaching. So their teaching is confidential. So they say that scriptures have Mahavakya and Lagu Vakya. So that Mahavakya, what they consider is like Brahmasmi, I am the Lord. That is their explanation of Mahavakya, etc. And other things they say, oh, they are Lagu, they are just inferior for lower people. So if you see, Shankaracharya actually started this theory. So why did he do that? He wanted to bring people from Buddhism to Vedic fold. That was the reason. And why Buddhism preach? We know that Buddhism preach so that people could be stopped from misusing Vedas for slaughtering and killing animals for sacrifice. So Buddhism, actually, if you see, is not atheistic. It is just non-theistic, because Buddha did not talk about God. It does not mean God does not exist. So he talks about basically practice morality, right conduct, right speech, ahimsa, etc. So if you see, these qualities are creating a base from where theism can be understood properly. So Shankaracharya did a lot of debate, etc., to bring the people back. But Buddhism was so widely spread, it was very difficult to get people to this conclusion Veda. And especially in Maurya, during Chandragupta Maurya's time, when he adopted Buddhism, he kind of pushed Buddhism across India. So majority of Indians were at that time, Bharatiyas were basically Buddhists. So it became very difficult for Shankaracharya. So what he said, okay, fine, you want Shunya? Fine, take Shunya. But Vedas also talk about it. Did you know that Vedas talk about Shunya? So it goes by the name Brahman. So Brahman and Shunya are kind of intellectual clones. So they are just different nomenclatures. So this kind of oh, I say, kya? So instead of something, there is nothing, at least there is something, same concept, let's go to that. This is how Shankaracharya attracted people to Vedas. Then came Ramanujacharya. So he at that time, he said, I mean, if he saw that Shankaracharya's hold on the society was even stronger than science hold today in today's world. So it was completely impossible to reject Shankaracharya's philosophy. So Ramanujacharya said, yes, there is oneness. So Shankaracharya said, there is Advaita. We are all gods. This is Advaita philosophy, oneness. So Ramanujacharya said, yes, there is Advaita, no doubt about it. But there is some little specialty also over there. So Advaita is there, but there is a difference. That is why this is Vishishta Advaita. Vishishtoyoho Advaita, Vishishta Advaita means an Advaita with a variety. There is oneness, but there is some difference. So it is like, in a nutshell, so he introduced the concept of Narayan. So that Sriman Narayan is the Brahman. So initially nothing, then effulgence, some impersonal, then he gave the name, then the name came for as Sriman Narayan. So he is the Brahman, and Jada, that is this material world, and Chitta, or souls, are basically his attributes. So he gave some attributes to this non-attributable impersonal form. So it is like a soul with a body in one sense. So likewise, we have soul or body. It is Narayan is the soul of everything around, and everything around is the body, is his body. So this was the concept that was proposed by Ramanujacharya. And then came Madhvacharya. So what did Madhvacharya said? There is no similarity at all. There is no similarity, nothing Vishishta over it. Forget it. It is just Dvaita. Everything is different. Jiva, Jada different. Jiva different. Jada, Jagdisha different. Jiva, Jagdisha different. Everything different. Forget it. So Shankara was at one extreme end. Everything is one. Madhvacharya was other extreme end, and Ramanujacharya tried to bridge that gap so that people could travel over that bridge to this concept. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came. He brought some balance. So if you see Shankara, he shows one finger, and Ramanujacharya shows 2 fingers. But Mahaprabhu, he has both the hands in the sky. Hari Bol. So what he does, he says that yes, they are 2. But there is a difference from quality and quantitatively. There is a difference between them. But most important thing, what ties them, is basically a joyful, loving relationship between the two, which is filled with ecstasy. This is what Mahaprabhu tried to bring a balance, and he gave the ultimate reality of how things are. So there is a Prabhu, Ravindra Swarup Prabhu, who has written in his book Endless Love. So what he says that once in his place, there was this Mayavadi trying to preach about his philosophy, and they had this poster, "You are God, you are God, you are God." So Prabhu thought, okay, let's see what their philosophy is. So he attended the class, and after 1.5 to 2 hours class, the person asked, any questions? He was open out to questions. So Prabhu raised his hand and said, yes, I have a doubt. You said Krishna, he meditated and he basically became God. So then how is it that he killed Putna when he was just a small baby? When did he meditate? So this person, he said, my dear friend, if you want to go beyond illusions, you have to go beyond words. So Prabhu said, I mean, it is, if you can't convince, you have to confuse that philosophy. So Prabhu said, wait a minute. All this time, when you were speaking for 2 hours, your words were not illusion. But when I ask this question, the words automatically become the source of illusion. So this is their philosophy, full bogus. I mean, they are full of faults over there because they are not aligned with the Shastras. So this is the result of misinterpreting Shastras by own speculation. And Prabhupada, if you all know, had been very heavy on this modern Mayavadis. So if this is what Mayavadis are, let's understand what Karma Kandis are. So Veda Vadarata, if we spoke in the first sloka, 9th sloka today, so which is what would suit in this category. So Karma Kandis actually they work. They may not be very apt for this age of Kali. It cannot be applied properly because today people, they worship demigods only for sense gratification. That is the only purpose of demigod worship. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that the people who are less intelligent worship demigods, and who are driven by, because they are driven by very strong desire for sense gratification. So Krishna actually says in Bhagavad Gita verse number 2.7.20, he says this: the demigod worshippers are deprived of knowledge. They are less intelligent. Rita Gyanaha, they are deprived of knowledge. And how are impersonalists? He says in 7.24, they are abuddha, no intelligence at all. At least they are deprived of knowledge. These people are no abuddha, no intelligence. The impersonalist. In Srimad Bhagavatam 10.2.32, we will just read the translation. Someone may say that aside from the devotees who always seek the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, there are also those non-devotees who have accepted different process for attaining the salvation. What happens to them? We would obviously have that, right? There are mystics who are in Himalaya. They are trying to attain salvation. So to that, Brahma and other demigods say, "O lotus-eyed Lord, although non-devotees who accept severe austerities and penances to achieve the highest position may think themselves liberated, their intelligence is still impure. They fall down from their position of imagined superiority because they have no regard for your lotus feet." Very clear message over here by Lord Brahma himself. So living entity, if he has to be freed from material bondage, he has to, if he has to attain the spiritual realm. Nothing is possible in this material planet. So Prabhupada mentions that with advancement, with advanced conscious, basically human beings, they try to travel around the space and they try to reach the outer spaces, either by spaceship, mystic powers, or by demigod worship. So he says in the scripture, in his purport, in the Vedic scripture, it is said that one can attain other planet by any one of these 3 ways. But the most common way is by worshipping the demigod residing over that particular planet. Yanti Deva Vrata Devan. So we know that, right? When you worship the demigod, you go to that planet. However, all planets in this material universe are temporary resident. So if we worship a demigod and we go to the planet, then how can we achieve eternal life? Because that itself is, the place is itself temporary. Ashaswata. So the only permanent place is Vaikuntha planets. That Krishna says, Yanti Madhyajino Pimam. So when you attain my abode, you will never fall back again. So when he worships the demigods and attain to their material planet still remain in the darkest region of the universe, as material world itself is dark, is what Prabhupada says in the purport. Then the question arises, so if that is the case, then why do Vedas teach about demigod worship? Why do they tell demigod worship? So let's understand with the help of an example. So a prince, this is mentioned by Chaitanya Charanda. So it's nice, he used this nice example. So a prince, he leaves his father, a king basically, and starts working as a under a common man for salary. So this is like a gross materialistic karmis. Okay, father sends his man to him in disguise, and he tells that, okay, we will pay you more, please come to us. So this prince now starts working for this disguised man of the king. This is karma kanda, the demigods. They are the disguised men of. So slowly what happens is the prince then understands that this man works for my father. So he starts feeling good for his father. Oh, my father is so good. So he goes to his father and he still continues working for his father, for his father, and gets salary instead of going and staying back and enjoying the whole kingdom. So this is called Sakama Bhakti. So you still worship, but there are some returns expected. And finally, later he completely comes back to the king. That is called Nishkama Bhakti. So this is to get people from materialistic life. Krishna is basically arranged this demigod worship so that those are his men, so that at least they would progress, or they would take a step towards elevation. So there are, if you see, there are actually in real life, there are many such examples, and many of us, including me, have experienced that when we start with demigod worship, we actually end up, if you're in the right mood worshiping them, we end up getting into the service for Krishna. Krishna gives that mercy. So a couple of examples is Vallabhacharya. So Vallabhacharya, he was a devotee of Shiva and Vishnu, and he had some problems in his life. So he intensely praised to Lord Shiva, and when Shiva came, he said, whatever is most dear to you, please give to me. What can I ask from you? So Lord Shiva quickly gave him a deity of Lord Krishna, and that is how he became the devotee of Lord Krishna. The other example which we have read in Chaitanya Charitamrita is Keshav Kashmiri. So he was a devotee of Saraswati, Mother Saraswati. So he was given the benediction that you will beat everyone in these Shastric debates. But Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu defeated him. He tore him apart. So he was a little upset. He requested goddess for clarification. He was crying, why did you betray me? So when he went to sleep, the goddess appeared in his dream and said, I did not betray you. I did not forsake you. I gave the benediction which I gave you was for anyone, that you would defeat anyone in this material world. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not from this material world. He is the master of the master. And we know the story that he then Pandit became the follower and the devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There is one more pastime of Chandidasa. Chandi is the mother Durga. So Chandidasa, he worshipped Kali Durga, and his brother worshipped Saligram Shila. So one day Chandidasa, he brought some flowers, very beautiful flowers, and he was walking towards his deity of Chandi Devi. So his brother saw and said, hey, can I have this for my Shaligram Shila? So he said, no, not at all, not possible. This is only for my Devi, and I'm going to give it to my Devi only. But the brother was so much attracted by this flower, he Manasa offered this flower. So this is basically Mansa Puja, we say. He offered these flowers to Shaligram Shila, and after he offered Manasa, Chandidasa, sorry, he offered the flowers to goddess Durga. So when that happened, goddess Durga quickly appeared, and she said, I am pleased with you. He was clueless. How? What did I do to get pleased? Are these flowers so rare? Then she said, no, because you offered flowers that were being offered to Vishnu. She told about the Manasa Puja and all. So then he said, oh, but so Vishnu is superior to you. So Vishnu worship is the superior worship. Why did not you tell me that earlier? So she said, smiling, I'm telling you now because I'm extra happy with you today. And this is when then later he started engaging Krishna worship. So if you see from gross materialistic, demigod worship is surely a step forward. It is not bad at all. Rather than being the materialistic life, demigod worship is surely a step forward. So if it is in the path of progression towards Krishna consciousness, then it it is perfect, it is very beneficial. But if the people keep the conception that the demigods are supreme and they are equal to Krishna, then they will not progress. So it is actually recommended for the atheists and the materialistics for their spiritual progress that they should actually take up to demigod worship. But for people like us who are gathered here and who are keen to get more spiritual advance, to advance the spiritual path, for them this is discouraged. So we now understand that the problem of life cannot be simply solved by something, by simply going to the moon planet or the sun planet and so on. So we are basically involved in this foolish mission of going to different planets, to moon, to Mars and so on, Mangal mission and all those things. But no one is interested in solving the real problem of life, that is that old age and disease. Therefore, Shri Isopanishad here advises not to bother for all those travel to different planets, and we should basically focus on the vidya to get out of this cycle of life and death. And the people who create such foolish schemes are called as, or they fall prey to it, are basically known as pseudo-religionists. So Prabhupada defines these people as who have become religionists only for the sake of name and fame, who do not wish to get out of this universe and reach the spiritual sky, want to maintain the status quo in the material world under the garb of worshipping the Lord. So the atheist and the impersonalist lead to such foolish pseudo-religionists into the cult of atheism. So what they do is the atheists directly deny the existence of the Supreme Lord, and the impersonalists also support the atheist by stressing, yes, what the impersonalists, what they are trying to say, atheist is basically the impersonal form of the Lord still exists. So they are trying to speculate this by their foolish religion garb of being a religionist. So so far in mantra in Shri Isopanishad, we have not seen anywhere where it says that it is that the supreme person of Godhead is denied. There is no verse which actually denies the presence, the supreme personality available, the form of supreme personality of Godhead. So Prabhupada asked a very simple question. So he says that it is mentioned in this verse that he runs faster than anyone. I believe the 5th verse, if I'm not wrong. Then those who are running after different planets, they are certainly some person, right? So if the Lord can run faster than all of them, why can't he be a person? Why is he an imperson? A very simple logical argument that Prabhupada has put forward. These ignorant people, actually pseudo-religious, they and the manufacture of so-called godmen, basically, or different incarnations, they directly violate the Vedic injunctions, and many of them actually end up being into the darkest ignorance of this material world, darkest regions of this material world. So if such foolish men have any knowledge at all, it is more dangerous in their hands than ignorance itself. Such impersonalists do not even worship the demigod according to the scripture recommendations. This is mentioned by Prabhupada in the purport. So what is the solution? So for this temporary, imperfect culture of worship, so what is the solution? So Krishna says, Mam evaye prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. So those who have surrendered to me will easily cross beyond this material existence. Also in 8.16 he says, A Brahma Bhunan Loka Punar Avartino Arjuna Mam Upatyeti Kaunteya Punar Janmana Vidyate. So from the highest planet of Brahma Loka to the lowest planet, there are all miseries and you will take birth again. But O Arjuna, if you come to my abode, there is no birth again. Krishna gives us assurance. So these people, these foolish people, they have no knowledge, nor they have detachment for this material affairs. They want to live this in this golden cage of Maya, and they want to do this by this false display of religious sentiments. They go on with their nonsensical, immoral activities. So they have no respect for acharyas, nor they have any respect for the authoritative scriptures. So in Bhagavad Gita 4.2 also Krishna says, Evam parampara prapta. So this science of God has come through disciplic succession. So anyone whimsically cannot create anything. We cannot create some own philosophy and enforce. This is not possible. It has to come through Guru Parampara. But these people, they don't follow Guru Parampara. They don't have Guru Parampara. They don't respect the Gurus. They don't respect the Acharyas. They don't respect the scriptures. So we in this if you see that there is no actually something called as religious government who could actually punish such people, so they are free to do such nonsensical activities, but they fail to understand that even if they they will not be punished by the state, but they will still be punished by the law of the supreme. They cannot escape it. So Prabhupada says that they are like envious demons, basically in the garb of religious propagandists. So this is what their status is. Jayapataka Swami Maharaj, His Holiness Jayapataka His Holiness Jayadev Swami Maharaj, he says that Mayavadi name ends with Ananda, and their Ananda ends with their name. So this is a very beautiful quote. That is a simple way of understanding Mayavadis. Mayavadis name end with Ananda, and because they usually have Anand in their name, like we have Das, and but their actual Anand ends with their name. Nothing. There is no Anand beyond that. So now the choice is yours. Do you want to live an eternal life of bliss, or you want to get into this repeated life of which is filled with permanent distress? And we should make this decision not just on our attachment to some philosophy or our emotions that has, or some religious practices that has been followed through a family. No, this decision has to be taken consciously with proper understanding, and this understanding has to be done aligned with Shastras and through sadhus and through gurus. I would like to share one abhanga which is shared by Tukaram Maharaj. He is one of the respected saints in Maharashtra, and is the devotee of Krishna, Vithala. So he says, "Makade mutisi dharile futane, guntle te nene haat tete, काय तो तयाचा लेखाचा अन्याय, हित नेणे काय आपुलेते." Means a monkey puts his hand, makad means monkey, a monkey puts his hand to get futane, which is peanuts. But after taking peanuts, his hand he cannot take his hand out because the mouth of the vessel is not very big. And the monkey, for the sake of this handful of peanut, does not go away and is get caught. Then he continues, Shuke nali keshi govi ele pai, visaroni jai pakshadoni. A parrot, basically, he sits on a string that has been laid by the hunter. This string inverts his position, and so does the parrot. But the parrot, for the fear of falling, he keeps holding on to this string, and then the hunter comes and grabs him. Visareni jai pakshadoni. He forgets that Doni, both his wings. He forgets about both his wings. That he has something better. He forgets about it, and just because of this fear, he's attached to it. Tuka mane ek aise pashu jiva na chale upay kahi tete. So Tukaram Maharaj says that this is not surprising if creatures without brain behave like this, but it is surprising to see human beings foregoing their greatest interest, Krishna, for petty pleasures, karma kanda. So we would conclude this by some reflections on what we said, because since this was little technical, we will go through some takeaways. So we saw in verse 9 that mistaken or misguided knowledge is more dangerous than ignorance. Then we also saw that any education which does not lead to realization of self and realization of spiritual value, the soul of spiritual value of the soul, must be considered avidya. Vedavatarata are mistaken mundane educators, and Mayaparata are self-made God. In verse 10, the key takeaways would be true knowledge brings different result than the culture of the nescience. We need to take guidance from a Dhira who is not disturbed by nescience. And real immortality means going back to Godhead. There is nothing. There is no different definition, which is mentioned in verse 11. The purpose of miseries in the material world is to remind our real identity. Material knowledge are not to be neglected, but focus on how material knowledge can be used to enhance our spiritual lives. And lastly, verse 12 says, destination of the worshippers of the demigod is in this temporary material existence. Absolute truth can't be understood by the process of negation or by speculation. Pseudo-religionists ruin the life of innocent people who do not have faith in authoritative acharyas and scriptures. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhu prayucha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavyo namo anandagurushnami shraprabhave. Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone for your blessings and for the opportunity that you have provided to me and Purna for serving today to all of us. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Hari Hari Bol. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So, very in-depth Prabhu, we can see that you have taken a lot of effort. Both you and Mataji have done considerable reading, rereading. Hare Krishna. So I request devotees to please share their comments, share their questions. So we can take one or two questions, though the time is up. And
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Dandat Pranam. First of all, one more time, thanks for organizing this. It was really a pleasure to see Sant Gopeshwar Prabhu and Purn Premai Mataji do such nice seva. So thank you so much, because it's always forgetting all these things. So the more we hear, the more like Tambe ka lota, right? It has to be cleaned every day. So thank you for that. And just want to mention on this that the mood in which Devatas are to be worshipped, Prabhu, that was a very nice point, because if you see in ISKCON, every day, one Devata is being worshipped, right? And that is because of the mood. And you know that, Prabhuji. So that is Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tatho Jayam Udirayet. So if Krishna is to be glorified, then it's fine. And Purn Premai Mataji, I think it was very relishing to, it reminded me of Maharaj. Krishna is the antiseptic. Because of that only, the body is intact. Otherwise, in a minute, it is gone. And when I see always Mataji also, I always remember this. Nirmal janam mon mohi bhava, mohi kapat chal chidrana bhava. This is Tulsidas says. And just I would like to end by saying that today also people are trying to bring in the Isopanishad, and that is why we have the ISO standard. It starts with ISO, which is nothing coming but from Isho. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu, for your blessings.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Raghuveer Prabhu, for your nice words and nice summary. So we have many comments in the chat box. So very nice slides, Mataji, great examples. Hare Krishna Mataji, very nice session, very relatable examples. Hare Krishna, it is very nice to see Mataji back in action. Very simple articulation, good slides, simple and palatable. Hare Krishna. And Hare Krishna, even fittest don't survive. Very nice statement, Prabhu. And beautiful presentation by Santa Gopeshwar Prabhu. And kudos, excellent and simple explanation on the different understandings of religious philosophies. In the session, there is very good pace and confidence. Good examples covered in line with the theme of the session. Veda Express was going like a bullet train. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Prabhuji and Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, amazing class to both of you. And best part I personally liked was object, vision and result slide by Mataji. And Prabhuji, you have to take one more class for us for body language. Your hands were also equally delivering the message. Darwin was like a sixer on free hit. Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hari Hari Bol. So thanks to all the devotees. Yes, Prabhu, you want to add something?
Yes.
Sorry, I was just saying that thank you everyone for your wishes and your prayers. And this is your prayers and blessings actually keeping us, basically dragging us into the spiritual path. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Sant Gopeshwar Prabhu, it was very nice class. One clarification, when you was explaining the purport, then you made a point, and in that you mentioned 1 to 5, 7, 8. That number was given for the paragraph, or what
Yes,
was
Prabhu.
the number?
Yes, Prabhu. If you recollect, at the beginning I mentioned these are the paragraphs, and we would be moving arrow through this paragraph. So as per the
Oh.
theme, we tried to put it. If they are no theme, they were separately.
Okay.
So
Thank
we
you,
kind
Prabhu.
of went paragraph by paragraph of all Prabhupada purport.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Nice.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So thank you once again, Santa Gopeshwar Prabhu and Purna Mataji. So let us all chant on Hare Krishna Mahamantra for Prabhu, Mataji and their family. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So as we discussed earlier in the program, so today one of our satsang is Rajendra Dwaraka Nath Das. So his mother left her body. Her name is Vijay Lakshmi, aged 65. And according to Prabhu and Mataji, she was fine till yesterday, and it was a quick departure. Yes, it is painless, but let us all again pray so that her soul rests at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So thanks to all the devotees who joined today's program and gave your association. So we have some more comments. A wonderful, perfect example of spiritual advancement. Superb session, Prabhu, Hare Krishna. So we will all meet once again to continue the Isopanishad Express, the last 6 shlokas tomorrow. I think it's really an express because we try to compress or cover 6 shlokas in 1.5 hours or 1 hour 45 minutes. So we will listen to the nectar of the last 6 shlokas from another exalted devotee couple tomorrow. So let us all meet same time, 5:45. Any other prayers, any other announcements? Hare Krishna. Yes. Before we wind up? Yes. Jagan Prabhu, you'd like to add anything? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Actually, there is a special prayer to my very brother and his family, that is Santa Gopeshwar himself. They've been going through a very rough patch in their life. Thankfully, because they are in devotion, they are able to be very steady in Krishna consciousness. We very, very sincerely pray to the Lordship, Gauranga Mahaprabhu, to quickly let them pass through this difficult phase and come to the shores to stabilize themselves in their life, so that they can further do much better services to all the devotees. And we really, really dearly miss them. And this year we can see the absence of Prabhu in the program. He was there online, offline, but he was a bit busy with a lot of other commitments, so we didn't disturb him that much. But definitely I feel that my right hand is not there when we do conduct the programs. Really, I feel it. I curse myself because since last 3 days I am spending almost 8 hours a day to prepare the quizzes. If he was there with us, it would have been much better. But anyway, Prabhu, sorry, I'm not cursing, means I'm not really cursing like that. But I'm missing a very good friend, an excellent team member, a very enthusiastic personality. But we hope they will get back. But only thing, Prabhu, just a personal comment. I still feel it was very nice to see Mataji coming up today for the class. But I somehow felt she's a bit pale still. Kindly take care of her, Prabhu. She's not in her the way she looks. Is still, I think there is some sickness we can see in the face. So
she has lost some weight also, Prabhu.
Yeah, we'll definitely pray for her, Prabhu, and for your daughter also. Please come out and please stay strong. And we also pray for your mother, who also went through a very difficult time. And you are having difficult time in a place where there's many more difficulties around. So it's a very difficult thing for you. But stay focused, stay in Krishna consciousness. I think you will wait through. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu, for your blessings. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Jagan Prabhu. I think it was a valid point. So that in spite of all the tribulations and the experiences which they have gone through, yes, both Prabhu, Mataji and their family have stayed through and been steady in Krishna consciousness, and they have been quite unwavering. And I believe the Veda Express has kind of rocketed further instead of slowing down. Hare Krishna. So thank you once again to Prabhu, Mataji. Thanks to all the devotees who are giving their association and making this program what it is. So with all your permission, so we will end this program. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. So we will
Prabhu,
meet at
nice
5.
to see, hearing Hari repeating along with you. He has completely memorized all glories. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Hare
Guruji.
Krishna.
He's
Yeah,
saying
telling, thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Hari. Jai.